Good evening. It's 7 p.m. in India, and there is one big news that has broken in the afternoon today about India and Pakistan. No, it's not cricket. It's about ceasefire being attempted between the two armies on the line of control as well as along the international border. And in what seemed to be a sudden announcement, the joint statement issued by both sides, India and Pakistan, said they will attempt a renewed peace on the border, both on the LOC and the line of actual control, as well as the international border. After months, I would say, in fact, a couple of years of naked hostility and aggressiveness from both sides, in which several civilians were also killed, apart from India killing several terrorists infiltrating from Pakistan. Now, early this afternoon, the Director Generals of Military Operations on both sides issued a joint statement saying that they will now attempt to address each other's core concerns and see to it that there is no firing across the border, or at least there will be no hostility across the border. They will observe ceasefire along the line of control, yeah, as well as in other sectors. That's the key word here, which means the international border. Now, may have come as a surprise to many of us, but apparently the attempt at renewing this peace between the two sides, and as you can see, the archival footage of ceasefire violations, hitting bunkers on each side, trying to target military installations, as well as sometimes targeting civilian population like the Pakistanis have done. That was done over the past 2 years, but all that is going to end from midnight tonight, that is 24th of February, because the two sides have now agreed. This, of course, hasn't come suddenly. There have been back channel talks between India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and his not really a counterpart, but National Security Advisor to Imran Khan, or advisor to the Pakistani Prime Minister, who have spoken through interlocutors, and at least once they have met in a third country, is what one is learning from different sources, and they have agreed that there should be a ceasefire. Remember, in 2018, at Pakistan's request, there was a similar attempt made at ceasefire between the two sides, but it went nowhere because on 5th August 2019, when India abrogated Article 370 and redrew the boundaries of erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir, created two union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Since then, the infiltration was up. In fact, in 2020, according to one figure, the ceasefire violations numbered over 4,600, which is like, I think, a record in the past 10 years at least. Remember, the original ceasefire was declared between India and Pakistan in November 2003. It has held on Siachen, for instance. It has held in the Kargil Dras sector, but in Jammu and Kashmir and in along the LOC, it has been observed more in violation rather than in implementing the ceasefire, especially since 2010 for some time, and then from 2014-15 onwards, ceasefires have not ended. Ceasefire violations have not ended in that sector. So this situation was reviewed, and then both sides decided that they should try and have another attempt at peace. And the final stretch of these talks or this arrangement was achieved in the past 4 or 5 days. Remember, the DGMOs of Pakistan, or their representatives, speak to each other over the hotline every Tuesday. So for the past 10 days or so, progressively the level of officers who were speaking to each other has gone up, and finally, early this week, both the DGMOs, the Director Generals of Military Operations, spoke to each other, came up with a roadmap, and have now decided to start the ceasefire from, as I said, midnight or tonight, 24th February onwards. Now, India has said that it will retain the right to carry out operations, anti-infiltration, anti-terrorist operations in Jammu and Kashmir, because there is no gainsaying the fact that India has been at the receiving end of this proxy war from Pakistan. There are some steps that are being agreed upon by both sides, that they will not fire into the villages, especially into India will not fire into the Pakistani villages where Pakistanis have been taking advantage of the terrorist hiding into these civilian populated villages where Pakistanis could take advantage of that. But now that is going to stop for a while. But as I said, India has said it will retain the right to carry out that operation. What happens from here, we still don't know whether the high commissioners will be. There's cautious optimism, of course, but will the high commissioners return to their respective stations? Will the Indian high commissioner go to Islamabad, and will the Pakistani high commissioner come to New Delhi? Is a moot point, because remember, these ties were downgraded for almost 2 years now, or 1.5 years, since August 2019, when Jammu and Kashmir reorganization was declared. And therefore, we'll have to wait and watch what next. Does it mean that this ceasefire will be observed, and then the political process or diplomatic process will begin? We still don't know. India has been very firm in not talking to Pakistan, because it says Pakistan has been aiding and abetting infiltration as well as terrorism from its soil. Remember, we are speaking on the eve of the second anniversary of the Balakot strike, the airstrike that India had launched on 26th February 2019, where India had gone and had bombed. Indian combat jets had gone and bombed the Balakot terrorist camp of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Coming as it does, this ceasefire declaration is welcome, of course, because ultimately any peace will bring in dividends in terms of development, economic prosperity. Whether this will last is the question, because we have a history of such attempts not going anywhere or not getting the desired results in the past few years or so. But this is a renewed attempt. Why has India done it? We'll wait for explanation from the government, from the political establishment. But certainly, it comes on the back of what has happened on the line of actual control with China, and it will mean good news for the Indian Army, Indian armed forces, that they will have some respite, perhaps, of not being on constant high alert, both on the line of control as well as on line of actual control, although they cannot afford to lower their guard in general, because infiltration will continue, perhaps not in the immediate weeks following this declaration. But knowing past history, it's going to be met with a lot of skepticism. There is also this SARC summit which is pending to be held in Pakistan. Whether India will go there or allow that SARC summit to go through, we'll have to wait and watch. Whether the ties will be upgraded, will the diplomats get back to their stations? Again, that's a moot question. Too early to say, but all that one can say at the as a first reaction to all this is that India has decided to at least renew peace, if not full spectrum relationship with Pakistan. Ultimately, given the economic situation, it's always better to have peaceful borders rather than active borders. And I think India has, after keeping Pakistan waiting and hanging for almost 4 years now, has decided to at least allow this ceasefire to work. We don't know whether this will lead to any big political breakthrough or a diplomatic breakthrough, but indications of all this have been there for some time. Pakistan's army chief said on 3rd of February that let peace prevail on all sides. Let peace become the mantra on all sides. India allowed Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan's special aircraft to go through its airspace to Colombo, from where he has returned only yesterday. Remember, in 2019 and 2020, Indian VIPs, VVIPs, in fact, the President of India, Ramnath Kovind, as well as Prime Minister Modi, were denied the use of Pakistani airspace in 2020 because Pakistan was angry with India for redrawing the boundaries of Jammu and Kashmir, abrogating Article 370, and then, of course, unleashed a series of ceasefire violations in Jammu and Kashmir. But that is all history now, and India having also responded in equal measure, maybe even punished Pakistan more in terms of firing and destroying some of their assets and some of their buildings and some of their infrastructure, terror infrastructure, has now decided that it is high time that peace prevails on the border. I am still saying we still don't know whether this will lead to any lasting peace or any political breakthrough or a diplomatic breakthrough. We'll have to wait and watch. But certainly, it's half a step which should be welcomed by all peace loving people. But keep the guard up should be the mantra. Keep the vigil on the border as tight and as high as before. Will be what the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force would be doing. But beyond that, whether this will lead to a resumption of trade ties, resumption of diplomatic and political contacts, we'll have to wait and watch. We'll come back with more updates as and when they are available. But for the moment, I thought I'll give you this update that this is what has happened. Unexpectedly, nobody thought about this. In fact, Pakistan had fallen off the radar because of India's, busy, I would say, schedule with China, where 10 rounds of talks have led to some kind of disengagement on the line of actual control. But nevertheless, this is where we are today. What happens from here is anybody's guess. My guess is as good as yours. So at the moment, let me say goodbye, but keep watching StratNews Global. We will keep bringing updates to you. And of course, keep liking us, keep subscribing to our YouTube channel, and support us as and when you want to, in terms of finances, in terms of contribution. And of course, we will bring you latest and most in-depth information as we can get from the people who decide on these matters. For the moment, it's good night and goodbye.